Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world. We are here hanging out once again on the couch with your host, Super Vega. And today we're hanging out with the one and only, the super construction man slash rapper, Mr. Rouben Doe. Make some noise for me.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
No doubt,
Appreciate it
man.
very much.
No doubt. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. So, for the people sitting at home who don't really know much about you, go ahead and tell them a little bit about you, man.
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to, kind of just condense it down a little bit. And I was born in Armenia, and I was born there while it was still a Soviet Union, and it was a communist country. And I grew up there. I was basically growing up there, and the whole country started falling apart. And Armenia became an independent country again, which we got our independence back after not having it for about 80 years, something like that. And the country went into war with another neighboring republic. And basically what was happening is things were crazy, and I ended up being in a position where within a year I was going to get drafted at the age of 14 into the army. And my parents' friends, my parents' friend's son got drafted at 14, ended up getting killed in the field. So they were like, man, we got to get out of here, because, they were trying to save me from having to go and grab a machine gun and go in the trenches, And my father, he's a jazz musician. He ended up being able to come here to America and be able to line up a visa where me, my mom, and my sister can come here. But it was very tough. He had no legal work permit to work here. He was under the table washing dishes for like $4 an hour. So it was tough. We came here, we couldn't get any kind of government assistance, no Section 8, no food stamps. Basically had to, he had to work for $4 an hour. My mom was doing like piece jewelry for like $2 an hour. Damn. And, we were barely scraping by. I remember having to walk like a mile and a half to the supermarket. We couldn't afford a car. We had no car. We had to walk to the supermarket. We lived in Ownerville. That's where we moved to. Is 41 Tuxedo Ave. It's right off. If anybody knows Providence, it's right where Atwell's and Valley Street meet. Like Fighters, and this Fighters got closed down, unfortunately. But we're by Fighters, the two gas stations over there, Mobil and Shell. So it was right in the back over there. And we were struggling, and I was just trying to find myself. I didn't speak no English. I really didn't have too many friends, and I ended up joining a gang at a young age. That was kind of a crazy experience. Which didn't last too long. We kind of ended up moving out of that neighborhood, and the dude that was kind of running the show, he ended up actually getting locked up for life. He's which is crazy. But I still did graffiti. I still did a few things here and there. I always wanted to be successful. I went to Mount Pleasant High School, and it was a grind. I really didn't like it. I never went to school. I actually tried to cut as much as I could. And,
I did the same thing.
And I was just a bad student, but I was good at art. I was always good at drawing, designing things. And what ended up happening is I actually got accepted to Rhode Island College, and I wasn't gonna get the grade. I was 2% points short. Yeah. So my mom ended up taking all my artwork and bringing it to my teachers and begging them, because I had a 59 average and I needed 60 to graduate high school. And she ended up begging like my teachers to pass me and like, look, this is what my son can draw. And I had drawings, I had paintings and things like that. So she ended up, convincing them to graduate me. But I ended up going to Rick, and I was paying for college out of pocket. Right. I was paying it ended up being like $200 something a week. Because I had to pay for tuition, I had to pay for books, everything like that. And that's what I was paying out of pocket. And my pops was matching me. I was paying half, he was paying the other half. And I was like teaching my teachers, like, nah, this is how you do perspective, and I really explaining this right, and it got me frustrated, right, because exactly. it wasn't even like I was, it was, maybe if it was a loan, if the money wasn't so direct, but for me to be paying out of pocket, and I'm like showing my teachers how, I just felt like I was wasting my time and my money. I ended up dropping out of college. First year, I never even finished my first year. I dropped out, and then I kind of got, really involved in hustling and things like that, and I ended up getting caught and I almost got deported. You know, I got very lucky. I had a lawyer, Donna Ullman. She got me off because if I was convicted of a felony, that was gonna put me in a situation where I was gonna be automatically deported, no matter what, because of my immigration status. So she was able to do whatever she had to do, and got them to drop the charge down to a misdemeanor, which then I pled nolo contendere, which is like basically you kind of admit to it, but you really don't. One of them charges. It stayed on my record for a year, and I actually, after a year, I was even able to go back and clean my record, which helped me a lot for work and everything. Because at the same time, literally the next day after I got set up. I got set up in East Providence. I got knocked, and when they got me, the next day I had my final interview for this job, and I ended up calling in and I told them something like, "Hey, I was in a hospital or something." I obviously couldn't tell them I got locked up, and they actually gave me a chance, and they gave me that job, and it ended up like a good experience. I was there for a couple of years. It was a corporate America job, you know, worked in a call center, taking like calls for reservations and everything. So, but it like taught me a lot about the world, and we were doing it for like 5-star hotels. So, you talk to some really rich people, and, I had people like literally spending 80,000-90,000 a night. They would book like 20 rooms. They take a whole floor, and they'd be spending 80,000 a night, and they booked that for 2 weeks. They would go their whole family, and I was just like, there was a lot of people like from the United Arab Emirates, and kings, princes, sheiks, all that. It was crazy. I mean, the amount of money they were spending, I was just blown away. And I actually got to go and stay at some of those hotels. It was a really good experience, man. But they ended up shutting the office down in Providence, so I ended up losing that job. And I was working for like a pizza shop / cigar shop for a little bit, where it kind of was cool. You kind of learned a lot about liquor and making drinks and things like that, and cigars. Opened my world out to cigars and things like that. But
so all of this, like, how did it get you to the point where you said, "I need to be making music. That's what I need to do"?
Well, what happened was I was writing always. I always wrote music. Like, I always did rhymes and everything. Like, I've been doing that forever. You know what I mean? Like, I was doing that before I even went to college. I just never felt like it was my time. It was just something where, I was working. I wanted to be successful. I always saw that as a very long shot, and, basically after working at that pizza place, I ended up I got into real estate, and I started buying houses, fixing up houses, flipping houses. And that got me into construction, because when you buy a house, you fix it up, you got to learn how not to get ripped off, because, people try to play you. And, I had contractors try to take money from me and not do the work or do shoddy work, So that's really where I sharpened my sword as far as being a good businessman, And, I've been since 2002, I've worked for myself. I haven't had a job. I've been running businesses since 2002,
Congratulations.
But I always kept writing, and like a few years ago, I was gonna put out a mixtape, and I don't know, I just didn't feel it. There was some things, because I kind of like, I grew up in the hood, and part of it was, I very openly, I'm considered white. I very openly used the N-word, you know what I'm saying? And that was just common because a lot of my friends were black, and that's just the language. That's the language I learned.
Right.
That's the language everybody spoke at Mount. That's the language I spoke in the streets. Nobody ever questioned or challenged me or said, "You can't say this." That was just like how we spoke, And so that was how it was in my music. But I had some conflict with that, because there was a whole conscious wave coming, and I just, that was part of my challenge. I didn't really feel right, what I'm saying, putting that out to the world, because, I don't know, what I'm saying, I knew somebody would have an issue with it.
Exactly.
Somebody would feel some type of way about it, rightfully so, because they don't know me, they don't know who I am. I'm just some white kid rapping, what I'm saying? So I chose not to do that, and that was actually the reason, because I did a whole demo tape, everything, and I just never even put it out.
Wow.
And I just put music aside for a minute, and then, I saw this whole wave, like, a lot of people complain about the mumble rap wave and everything, but the wave I saw that I really liked was the conscious mainstream wave came back, which I thought was around in the early 90s, especially with like a artist like Pac. Pac was even though he was gangster, he was also very conscious, and he really opened the world to, to the streets, and some of the, things that, you know, a mind can't grasp what it's like. You know, now people are saying, you know, if you grow up in the hood, you got post-traumatic syndrome a lot of times because the things you see, but nobody knew about that, you know? So, you know, and then I started to see artists like J. Cole, Kendrick, you know what I'm saying? They really both do, you know, great mainstream hip hop, and their shit's polished. They got great beats and everything else, but at the same time, you know, you got this amazing consciousness, and you know, they really describe and bring a whole new angle and an artistry to the craft, and that really got me, like, I got a new wave of inspiration, and I said, you know what? I went back to some of my old rhymes. I started writing music again, and then I ended up linking up with a couple of local artists that needed some help, some consulting on the business end of it, you know. So I helped them out a little bit. I worked with them. That kind of got me, you know what I'm saying? It was like, as soon as I started thinking about it, it's like, you know, God was like, all right, here you go. Here's the tools for that. You want to do this? Here you go. You know, I met these guys. They hit me up. You know, I was in studios. I met a bunch of local producers, and I had never really knew how much talent there was here. You look, I heard some local music. You know, Fed Hill's my people from way back in the day. You know, and you know, I knew it, but I couldn't believe how much talent, producers, artists. You know, really opened my eyes. And part of it, I think, really the Rhode Island music scene is blossoming now. You know what I'm saying? Things are really, you know, at a whole different level, and everything I'm seeing, everybody's continuing to level up and do things better and better and better, you know, and really are a contender. You know, maybe we haven't had anybody really blow on, like, you know, nobody's got 20 million views on their songs. Yeah. But I feel like even that time is coming, you know what I'm saying? Because there's just so much raw talent, and there's just, you know, I wouldn't even want to name a few because I wouldn't want to leave a few people out. That's how many people there are really that I met. So it really, you know, it made me want to do music, you know, seriously, because anything I do, I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to try to be great at it. And I can't say I'm going to be the best, but I'm going to try to be my best. You know what I mean? So
what are you going to perform for us tonight?
I got a track. It's not released yet. It's called A Game of Chicken. And it tells a story. It kind of goes through a few things. It's really not a song with, you know, hooks and everything. It's more like a long story, but you know, it talks about, you know, when I was in the streets, I got robbed, or they tried to rob me, and I almost died. You know, that's why I say Game of Chicken, or, you know, I was gonna call it Playing with Death, but I changed it to Game of Chicken. And you know, I was making a deal, and some guys, you know, that I was doing a deal with jumped in the whip. You know, one of them put a gun to my face, and it was like, give me the money, I'm gonna shoot you. Just so happened my car was running, I hit the gas, and they like fell back and jumped out of the car. So I cut, but it could have went the other way. You know what I mean? And I don't know why I did that. At the moment, that was just like, I was like, nah, I'm not taking this loss. You know, it was probably the stupidest thing I could have done, but that was, you know, that was something. So it paints that story, and it talks about, you know, what could have happened. And, you know, and then I just pay homage to, you know, some local people that I lost, because some people were not as lucky as I, and they're not with us anymore, you know. So I mentioned a few names, Richie Rags, Mike Baston, my boy Wade, and Loco Los. You know, those are all people that I knew and people that were close to me, and, you know, they're not with us anymore. So I wanted to kind of mention them, and some other world leaders that I feel like have been fighters for human rights. Awesome. Because I really want that to be a part of my music, you know, and that's one of the things, is I always want that social element in my music, you know. I'm not trying to just make turn-up music. That's cool. Party music is cool, you know, but I feel like I can add something to it, you know, so. Okay.
So, yeah, before we let you take the stage, tell the people how they can get in touch with you.
You can get in touch with me. It's Rouben Doe. My name is spelled very differently, so it's ROUBENDOE, like John Doe or Jane Doe. So Rouben Doe, and you can find that on Instagram. It's at Rouben Doe. It's on Snapchat, Rouben Doe. It's on Facebook, you know. So you can, and same thing for YouTube. So, you know, it's all the same. Just, you know, type in Rouben Doe, SoundCloud, whatever, you know, whatever platform you listen to music to. You know, I'm in the process of putting out this new project. It's called Throwaways. This track I'm gonna perform is from that project. Nice. And you know, that project is gonna be on all platforms, including Spotify and Tidal and Apple Music.
So will this be the first time that people get a chance to listen to it?
For this track, yeah. Track's never been released before, and you know, it's still kind of raw. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the whole thing. I might do 75% of it and just leave a little bit something for the people. But
Nice.
you know, I appreciate the opportunity, man. It's really great, you know, being able to speak about my craft and what I do, and just want to say thank you for giving so many artists an opportunity. You know, it's really a blessing to have somebody that's, you know, a channel for local artists to be able to get their music and their whatever, you know. I think you've done some other things besides music, you know, whatever different craft it is, you know, you're just giving them an avenue to expose it to the people. So I just want to say thank you for that, you know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. You heard it here first, folks. We're gonna have Rouben perform. It's
Game
not
of
playing with
Chicken.
death. Yeah,
Game
Game
of
of Chicken.
Chicken.
The original, the one he sent me said playing with
Playing with
death.
Death.
So
It's
I was
not-
like,
it's
it's not
called-
playing with death anymore.
Game of Chicken.
Game of Chicken for the very first time. So stay tuned.
You don't know how much I appreciate you taking the time out of your life with everything going on in the world today to actually hear what I gotta say. I want you to know it's all truth. It's all fact. Now part of the family. Take this crazy ride with me. Hold up, back up, camera in the back up. My crew is Rube, and I got my bag of tricks who treat me and their asses make you back up. Make you wanna smack them, make you wanna grab them. With most of them, my dick, I don't wrap up. Even after we wrapped up, and us, we wrap up. They wait out your league, us life up. If she ain't wifey, she ain't getting no bag. No, I came from nothing, so I gotta brag up. Little bit for a little bit, you see, I used to bag up to fill my bag up. Racks on racks, I rack up, but here comes the dagger. Good deal gone bad in the snap of her fingers. Now I'm about to get clapped up. Burn it in my face, he says, give the bag up. I ask, what you gonna do? Shoot and hit the gas hard. His body get thrown against the seat. Back up my whip, then he jump out the back of my whip. Now I ain't about to back up, I dip, clutch it on my grip like I ain't see it in the grip. About the whole thing, had to be tight-lipped. Don't want my frenemies to think that I might slip. Ain't never snitch, but here's a tip. Loose lips sink ships, you heard it from Rouben. Cause when you slip, you're proving that somebody else can do it. You don't want anybody to find out. When one body find out, then everybody find out. Everybody find out that somebody gonna try to rob me. And next attempt at a robbery gonna turn their bodies probably. They might have body, but they'll never take your soul. Rags, Wade, Mike, Loco, Los, long live y'all. Do our works when we gon' live, y'all. God, I'm creating for Garvey, for King, for Parks, for Mama, for Gandhi, Obama, for Huey Brown Martin, for Nelson Bland Garner. Too many lost, of course, need armor, for karma. For me to tell my life, it's an honor. Forgive my honesty, but it must be me. I honor out of street. For hip hop, I'll embarrass me. I share my travesties over chat. Yo, appreciate you having me, man. You gotta check the project, man. You gotta check the project always, man. Thank you for having me. Super Vega, shit dope. It always comes soon. Wanna hear the whole song? You gotta catch me, man. Rouben Doe.